When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I'm going to tell you about 4 things to do when the road to success gets tough. So let's do it. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle podcast, where the focus and mission is to help you become the best version of yourself so you can live your dream lifestyle. I'm excited about today's episode because I'm going to be talking about what to do when the going gets tough, when the road to success, when the road to everything that you want for your life is difficult. All right. And the 4 things that I'm going to be sharing with you are super practical, and they are things that you can apply to your life. And I know that they will help you. But before I jump into the information, do me a favor. Let me know in the comments, how did you grow this week? All right. Leave me a comment or just reflect to yourself, just getting clear on how did I get better this week? In what ways did I take a step towards the life that I want to live? All right. Let me know. Now, let's get into this information because this is super important because, again, the road to success is something that is simple, but it's not easy. OK, because the concept, the steps, the strategy in order to become successful is a simple one. Right. It's basically have a clear vision of where you want to go, operate with excellence in the process, and then basically do it consistently. Right. The strategy is a simple one, but the actual execution is where the difficulty comes in. And so the first thing that you're going to need to do when the road to success gets tough is you need to remember your why. Okay, you need to remember why you decided to change your life. You need to remember why you decided to basically make the shift so that way you can improve your life. And while this may sound like a very cliche answer, but this is very important because you decided to change your life for a reason. You decided to take steps to step outside of your comfort zone for a reason. And if you are not clear on your why, I'm encouraging you today to really get clear on why you want to change your life. Get very clear on who you want to be impacted by your success. Get very clear on how your life is going to change as a result of you being successful, right? Get very clear and be honest with yourself about, even what problem does your dream solve? When you are very clear about these things, you are giving yourself a foundational point of belief, a foundational reference for when things get hard. Because when you encounter that obstacle, when you encounter things that are unknown to you, because you are basically entering a space and walking a path that is unknown to you, you're going to need to know why you're doing it in the first place. And that's why you need to make sure that you have it almost in your back pocket of really getting clear on why you're doing what you're doing. So you need to remember your why. Okay. And the greatest form of this, and this is why I believe purpose is such an important thing to get clear on, is because for a lot of times, in order the dream that you have, right, should be rooted in your purpose. And I've said this here before, that your purpose has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with everyone else. And so when you are very clear on your why, that means that the weight of the decision that you have to make, the weight of the move that you have to make, the weight of the obstacle that's in front of you in terms of you needing to overcome that obstacle reaches another level. There's another level of importance in it because you understand that it's not just you at stake. When you understand the fact that if you decide to overcome these fears, when you decide to overcome the challenge, that it's not just you being impacted, you are more likely to get going. And that's why, as I said before, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So you need to be very clear on why you're doing what you're doing. And that can look like really understanding who in my life is going to be impacted as a result of my success. And this can be a family member. This can be friends. This could be even future generations for your kids, whatever it is. But you want to just get very clear on why you're doing what you're doing. And it needs to matter to you. Okay. And that's why owning your dream is so important as well. So you really want to be very clear on why you have made the decision to improve your life, why you've made the decision to make the shift to become the best version of yourself, to live your dream lifestyle, because that is what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to have a very strong why when the going gets tough. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the second thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take a step back. And this is important because, as you continue to grow, right, you're going to continue to elevate your level of being by elevating your productivity and elevating your belief. Sometimes when the going gets tough, you're going to need to take a step back and realize how far you've come. Okay. And the way in which you're able to do this is by simply reflecting back on past wins. Okay. What does this look like? If you're somebody that you need some confidence to go forward, just think back to the last time you showed up for yourself. Think back to the last time you overcame a challenge. And it doesn't really matter which one, but you just want to basically go back to your success clues and find ways in which to elevate your level of belief in the moment when the going has gotten tough. So that way you are equipping yourself with the tools from your past in order to move forward. And this is important because when you take a step back, you're relieving the pressure. And I think I fall into this myself sometimes where there's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I want to accomplish, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm hitting the pavement hard. I'm going as fast as I can. I'm going as hard as I can. But sometimes that can get overwhelming. That's not always the healthiest option. And so it is important sometimes to just take a step back and realize, I may not be at step 10 right now, right? Let's say the complete chain to your dream is a 10, but you know what? I'm at a 5 and I used to be at a 1. So let me at least practice gratefulness and let me practice gratitude in a way so that way I'm at least content with where I am. So that way I can refocus, recenter where I am so that way I can continue to move forward. And that's why taking a step back is important, because so often it's very easy to get lost in the process of how far we've come. All right. And so when you do that, you're basically taking the pressure off yourself by just simply taking a step back. All right. Back up from the problem. When you're actually able to see the entire problem, you might be able to come up with a different solution. Because sometimes, when you're going so fast, you only give yourself but so much time to look at the obstacle that's in front of you. But when you take a step back, when you just take that day off, right, when you decide to just give yourself a break and just decide to look at a different aspect of the issue at hand, you might come up with a better solution. And so when you basically take the time to reflect back on your past wins, when you reflect back on your past growth, and you understand, you know what, I do have the potential to overcome this challenge because I overcame these past challenges, you are, again, equipping yourself with the tools in your belief as well as your productivity and information. And again, the success clues that you need to move forward. Hey, you're listening to this episode because you are looking to take action for your dream. You're trying to find your how to your biggest goals. What I'm encouraging you to do right now is go to dreamsociety.info. That is where you can register to be a part of the Dream Society, which is Craft Your Dreams accountability group that meets Monday mornings to set targets, take action, and win. So if that's you, if you're somebody that takes your personal development, you take your growth seriously, this is something you need to be a part of. Go to dreamsociety.info right now. Let's get back to the episode. Third thing that you're going to need to do, the third step that you're going to need to take is you need to remind yourself of who you are and whose you are. Okay. You need to remind yourself of your identity. Remind yourself, and this is why those affirmations are so important. You need to remind yourself of, how great you are. You need to remind yourself of your potential. You need to remind yourself of your purpose and things of that nature. When you are reminding yourself and you have those things in place in your life, in your solar system, where it's evident to you and it's accessible to you, you're going to find yourself able to take on whatever is in front of you. Because sometimes, again, when you're going fast on the path to success, you sometimes get lost. It's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle of life, right? Where you're doing all the things, you're hitting your targets, but at times you kind of forget who you are. And so at times when you're faced with an obstacle, most obstacles, you've probably encountered that type of obstacle before. So it's a matter of, again, that's why it's the combination of the two of remembering your why and taking a step back. Where this third one comes into play, it's remembering, you know what, if I was able to overcome that past situation and who I was then, and I'm a better person today than I was yesterday, well then whatever's in front of me today, I have to win. Like I have everything that I need to win. And so that's what happens when you remind yourself of who you are, when you remind yourself of your identity. And this is where self-confidence comes into play. This is where just self-talk comes into play. Like, how are you talking to yourself? What's in your solar system that's really encouraging your level of belief in yourself? But also on the flip side of this, along with remembering who you are, you need to remind yourself of whose you are. Now, this is where the God factor comes in. This is where you basically need to remind yourself of the promises that God has given you. And whatever dream or goal that you have for yourself, that is a dream or goal that has come from God, because God will give you the desires of your heart. It's just up to us to do the work. And so when you think about that dream, that goal that, you've talked to God about, or that God's placed in your heart, understand that that's a promise. And so because that's a promise and God is truthful, God is faithful, God is righteous in all his things, you know that you've already won. And because you've already won, the obstacle that you're facing when the going gets tough doesn't seem as big because you know that you're in a fixed fight and you're already going to win. So you need to be sure that you have it written down somewhere, just the promise that God has given you, that this dream that God has given me, he's given it to me for a reason. And because he's given it to me, it's not man-made, it's not family-made, it's not friend-made. This is a dream and a goal that God has placed on my heart to do. And I'm willing to put my everything into it. So that way, when I do encounter trouble, because the Bible does say that we will encounter trouble, right? That we will suffer in order to share in his glory. But when we do encounter those obstacles, when we do encounter those trials, we know that we've already won. And so when the going gets tough, when you remind yourself of who you are, when you remind yourself of whose you are, the promises of God, you are, again, equipping yourself with the tools to move forward. You're giving yourself the bandwidth. You're giving yourself the ability to overcome just by retraining and reframing your mind in terms of how you're viewing the situation. Okay, because perspective is a very important thing, because sometimes when we encounter an obstacle, we focus so much on the obstacle that we forget who we are. And so when you are in a spot where things are tough, take the time to remember who you are. Take the time to remember whose you are. Okay. And then number 4, the fourth thing that you are going to need is just being clear that going back is not an option. And this is more so me to just really encourage you. Going back is not an option. And the reason why going back is not an option is because the pain that you're experiencing today with the obstacle that's in front of you today is still minimal in comparison to the pain you felt yesterday. Because the entire reason why you decided to make the decision to become the best version of yourself, and why you decided to improve, whether it's one area of your life or improve your entire life, you made that decision because the pain of yesterday was much greater than the pain of today. And so when you understand the principle of simply burning the boat, when you understand the principle of burning the plow, when you understand that going back is not an option, you are setting yourself up to win. Because when you understand that forward is the only way, and you use the 3 previous tools of remembering your why, when you use the previous tool of taking a step back, when you use the previous tool of just reminding yourself of who you are and whose you are, plus you understand that forward is the only way you're going to go, you are equipping yourself with the belief and the confidence. And this is why this is a really big confidence talk that I'm giving you. You're giving yourself the tools and the ability to just remind yourself, you know what, this is who God has made me to be. That's where God wants me to go. And I'm going to do and overcome whatever I have to in order to get there. Come hell or high water. If I got to roll over the obstacle, if I got to crawl over the obstacle, if I got to jump over whatever I have to do, I'm going to do it. Because again, the road is going to get tough. That's a promise. Whatever goal that you have for yourself, it's hard. It's hard to start saving more money. It's hard to build your business. It's hard to build a brand. Like, there are a lot of unknown difficulties that come with improving your life. But like it says in the Bible, that when we suffer for Christ, we will be able to share in his glory, that all things work together for the good of those. There are so many scriptures that speak to this. I was reading Galatians 6:9, where it speaks to how we can't do weary in doing good, for at the right time, God will reap a harvest, right? So when you think about that, we can't give up. The going is going to get tough. But when we decide to do these 4 things, when we decide to remember our why, when we decide to take a step back and just reflect on how far we've come, we've taken a step back and just looked at the obstacle from a different position. When we take the time to just remind ourselves of who we are and whose we are, in terms of reminding ourselves of our identity and our ability and our potential, as well as the promises that God has given us, and we understand that going back is not an option, you will be able to overcome the bumpy road. You'll be able to overcome any obstacle that you face, especially when the going gets tough. So I hope that this episode was helpful to you. I hope that you in some way, shape, or form implement these 4 things when you are in a tough spot, when the going gets tough for you, when the road to success gets hard, because it does. But please know that you're not alone. You are not alone when it comes to the road being tough, and you don't have to take it on alone. So I want to encourage you that I'm with you. I believe in you, and you can do it. So please implement these 4 things. Even if you only implement one of the 4, just make a move so that way you don't fall victim to a temporary circumstance. All right, but you can do it. So again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Always remember, your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it. I'll see you guys next week.